Did you know there's a secret weapon hiding in almost every watercolour palette? It's a colour you've probably used for flowers or sunsets, but it can do so much more. Today I'm going to show you how mixing with Vermilion can completely transform your paintings, creating rich, natural blends and surprising neutrals you'll fall in love with. Grab your palette and let's uncover the magic of this overlooked but powerful colour. Hi everyone, Diane here. Welcome to my channel. Today's video is going to be in two parts. First half, I'm going to be talking a little bit about colour mixing, and the second half is going to be a simple little reverse colouring painting of some flowers, I think it's going to be flowers. So let's get started with that. Just recently I talked about this little set of paints, which is a Daler Rowney starter set, which called Aquafine, and it's got all the basic colours in it that you need in order to get started with watercolour. So for those of you who are new or just thinking about buying a set, you could do worse than this. It's not very expensive and the colours are very good and they're all absolutely colour fast and you can rely on the pigments. But there is one thing about this set which can be frustrating to newbies and which can indeed set you off going down a rabbit hole well before you're ready for it. That is to say that there are two colours here that everybody wants to use in their paintings and they're not in this set, so you have to mix them or you have to buy them. Now, I'm a great advocate of mixing your own colours, even though we often use the 48 set of Kiritaki because I know that a lot of people don't like mixing colours. That doesn't change the fact that I think it's good to be able to mix colour. I think probably most of you would agree with that, and judging by the number of people who have sent in questions about colour mixing just recently, I think plenty of people do. So today I'm going to show you a couple of secrets, and those secrets are how to mix a very good purple or violet from these colours in this tin and how to mix a peach. The peach colour is very popular for painting roses and flowers and all sorts of things. Peach will be useful, and it's not here, but it is. It's just hiding beneath the surface. You just have to get yourself organised. So the first thing is I'm just going to show you something which you may or may not already have, and that is a plastic palette. Excuse me. I have got several of these. In fact, I bought a dozen, I think. They're really not very expensive. Excuse the rustling. I think when you're learning to mix in watercolour, when you're learning to mix colours, it's a good idea to have a whole bunch of these, and then you can try out your colours, each one in a separate little palette, and you can keep them for future reference, not forever, but just for a while you're still, playing around and practicing. So I've got several of these and find them really useful. So what am I going to do first of all? I'm going to show you how to mix purple. There's a lot of videos online talking about how to mix purple when you haven't got a purple in your set, and sometimes these things are wrong. And I only just found that out recently myself, actually, why they're wrong, because they are. Now, you've got in your set here, you've got two reds, you've got alizarin crimson and vermilion. This is a very orangey red, so it's hot, like fire. And this is a very rather more bluish kind of red, so like a pink, sort of pink you get in a rose, rose pink, that kind of thing. And in order to make purple, as everybody knows, you have to mix it with blue. You have to mix red and blue. And we've got two blues here. We've got ultramarine and we've got Prussian blue. Now, ultramarine is a warmer blue. It tends towards the reddish kind of tone. And Prussian blue is a colder kind of tone, tending towards the greens and so on, rather than the pinks. A lot of people have been told over the years that to get a good purple, you have to mix a warm red with a warm blue. That would be vermilion and ultramarine. Or you could mix a cool red with a cool blue, which would be your alizarin and your Prussian. I would like to suggest that that's not necessarily true. I've done some tests here, and what I have got here, I've got ultramarine. I'm not going to actually paint this out for you because it would get really boring, but I've got ultramarine, which is this one here, and I've got vermilion. 2 warm colours, warm and warm, and we get this, which I think you would agree is more on the grey side. If we go to ultramarine, which is warm, and alizarin crimson, which is cool, we mix that together, we get something which is much closer to purple. Likewise, if you mix Prussian blue with alizarin, you get something which is definitely on the purple side. Whereas if you mix Prussian blue with vermilion, you get brown. And if you add more blue to that, it'll go to grey, completely, a very neutral grey. So out of all of these combinations, we can say without any shadow of a doubt that the best purple is going to be with ultramarine and alizarin. So we will try that out just to prove my point. I'll show you that being mixed. So this is just a very cheap little watercolour pad that I got here in Cairo. So I'll pick up some, just to remind all of us, we need ultramarine and alizarin. So here we have ultramarine, which is a warm blue. So we put a little bit of that there. And then we pick up some alizarin. And I'm going to put that straight in there, and you can see immediately that that is a good purplish kind of colour. You can see that in your florals, can't you? If you add a little bit more red, you get more of a maroon kind of colour. If you add more blue, you're going to go towards the violets, and the violets, like that. So these 3 colours are from alizarin and ultramarine, and I think, you know, I would probably claim that they were quite nice, strong colours, would you not? And if, obviously, the more pigment you put in relation to the water, the stronger the colour will be. But there is no need at all, if you have a set like this that doesn't have a purple in it, there's no need at all for you to go out and buy purple until you know that you're definitely going to want to carry on with your new hobby. So that's that. And then the second colour that is missing from here is one which is very popular with people who like to paint flowers, and that's peach. And these are different shades of peach that I was able to obtain using this set. And what I have here is we've got alizarin crimson mixed with cadmium yellow, which gives us these soft oranges, which are almost more like apricot. Then this one here, I've got yellow ochre and alizarin crimson, which gives us these colours, which are also really delicate and pretty. And here, which we looked at these and said, which one is the most nearest to the peach colour that we are after? And I think this one is probably closest, although these, if you added more water to these, they would come back down to here, obviously, you know, like this. This one, you're going to be surprised by this. This one is vermilion and burnt sienna. Isn't that a surprise? It surprised me, I must say, when I practiced with that. So I'll show you what I mean. So, sorry, not that one. Yellow ochre does work. There's more than one way of filleting a fish. You know, there are lots of different ways of achieving the same end. So that's your vermilion, and this is your burnt sienna, which is brown. In case you don't know what colour burnt sienna is, it's like that. And so we're going to pick up a fair amount of that, and we'll mix it in to the Vermilion. And the other day, what made me think of this actually was the other day a lady said, I don't know why they always put Vermilion in paint sets because I hate that colour and I'm never going to use it, so I'll take it out and put something else in its place. Well, that's the thing, you see. These are all mixing colours. You're not meant to use them as they come out of the little pans. You're meant to mix them with one another to give you a whole, well, what would you call it? Not a rainbow, more colours than a rainbow, many more colours than a rainbow. So I'm going to try this out. I'm going to say to myself, okay, that might be a bit too strong for what I want, so I'll add more water. That might be a bit too weak. It's starting to sound like the Three Bears. You know, this porridge is too hot, this is too cold. And you just try it out until you get the colour you want. You have to wait for it to dry, of course, because everything in watercolour always dries a little bit lighter. So we'll just do a few here. But you see how easy it was to actually get to a peach tone using those two colours, Vermilion and burnt sienna. If you used some of the other combinations that I was talking about, such as alizarin crimson and cadmium yellow, we can do that too. So we've got our alizarin crimson, which is a pink, and it's very similar to rose, permanent rose, or what's that other one called? Opera pink. So you've got that, and then you have to add cadmium yellow, and that gives you a kind of orange, which of course is what peach is. Starting to sound like the greengrocers, aren't we? So you just dilute that down and you say to yourself, oh, yeah, no, you know what? That's like pale orange. That's apricot, really. So perhaps we need a bit more red. And you'll find it harder to achieve than this one with your burnt sienna and your vermilion. It's easier to get to peach, burnt sienna and vermilion, easier to get there than it is with, for example, red and yellow, basically, which a lot of people recommend. And it's true, you can, but you might find, oh, God, I don't know, I can't quite get there. I'm putting either too much red, you might say, or not enough, or I don't know. Eventually you'll get there. But I would recommend that you go for the purple made like this one here, which we showed back here, ultramarine and alizarin crimson, or if you've got it instead, a different set, and you've got, for example, permanent rose, that'll work with ultramarine too. And for the peach, definitely go for vermilion and burnt sienna. You don't need much pigment though for this, just a lot of water, let it dry and see how it goes. And that's why it's a good idea to have these little palettes here. You can have hundreds of these and you can try out, you could number them, 1 to 10, try out your different mixes, put them on a piece of paper, wait for them to dry, and then you'll know, if you number them on here as well as here, you'll know which one came out the best of all your different trials. So I think it's worthwhile spending a little bit of time exploring your paints, even if you've got far more colours than this, and you've actually got a purple, say you've got quinacridone mauve or something like that already, and say you've got a colour that calls itself peach, might not be the exact same shade that you want. And if you learn how to mix some colours like these, then you'll find it easier when we come to the next thing which we're going to look at, which is how to turn, we're not going to do this today, how to turn this leaf green, which is anything but leaf green. When I recommended this set, I wasn't meaning that you should paint directly from the tin, by the way. This is not the colour of many leaves in my planet, but what you do is you add other things to it, modify it. And so other things that you've got here go into that to give you a whole range of beautiful leaf colours. So that's where we're going to leave the colour mixing today. As I said, a lot of people have said, couldn't we do some colour mixing, especially with this new tin that you're talking about? So we're going to start with this, wait a couple of weeks, and we'll probably come on to the next thing. I know green's been done before. I've done green before, but I haven't done it with reference specifically to these colours here. So I hope that was useful. And now I'm going to pause the video for a second while I get myself sorted, and then I'll be back in 2 shakes of lamb's tail to do a little painting with you. So don't go away. Okay, we're sorted, and I'm going to start now. I'm going to use a Meaden quill brush here. We have a size 4, and I've also got a bigger one here if I feel I need it, because I'm going to use quite big paper. This is a size 5. There's a big difference between those. You can get the set of, I think, 6 of them or something like that from the Meaden page or from Amazon. Have a look, and don't forget you can get a discount. It's in the description below on the video. You can get a discount on them from their website if you put in our code. Anyway, I'm going to paint some basically pink flowers, and I'm going, because I think this is, on this set, this is rather a nice pink actually. So I'm going to just kind of smoosh around in there a bit and put some pink in the middle of this palette, this little palette here, which these are really inexpensive. I actually just ordered some more here in Egypt because you can get them for about £2 UK for 4 of them, which is, you know, cheap as chips, as we used to say years ago in England. So I'll just put some of this pink in the middle. I might have to sort of boost that a little bit later. I'm going to start with that, and I'm going to then pick up some Vermilion here, which I can use to tint the pink to give me some slight orangey kind of peachy kind of colours like we were talking about. And I'll also want some ultramarine. I'll put that over, excuse me, I'll put that over here in this one. And again, I'll probably have to come back into my supply here, my source of colour, and because this won't last forever, but just to give you an idea that we're just starting with a few colours, and I'm going to go also for cadmium, I think, rather than lemon, although you could go for lemon yellow. Whoops, don't do that. That would contaminate. Okay. Somebody in one of the comments said that she loved hearing my stories, but she wished I would concentrate more on the painting. It's difficult to do both, actually, isn't it? But I do try to only tell stories when I'm doing something repetitive like this. And it just came into my mind, actually. I don't know if you remember, a few months, I think it was a year actually ago, because I like to do crochet, and I'd found this guy online who was a crocheter and a man, of all things, Italian, and he was doing wonderful stuff, and then suddenly he vanished. And I just want to let you know, if you were following Fabio, that he will be back soon, and he's just put a little video up telling us why he disappeared, and I'd like you to go and see it. I'll put a link in the description below, and I'd like you to go and see it because I think he's a really cool guy, and he's not bad looking either. Also, yeah, he's got quite an interesting story to tell about what it's like to be on YouTube. Anyway, I've finished preparing my colours now, and I'm going to use a pen to do some line work at the end. I don't remember, I think I did. If I can find it, I will use a dip pen. Otherwise, I'll have to use an ordinary one of these. Okay, sit down, Diane, and relax, because that's what it's all about, isn't it? So we need plenty of water. I'm using the size 4. I'll push that up there so you can see all of it. I think I will put that there, which might mean I might drip onto the paper. Probably, I could do it the other way around, couldn't I? I could, because I haven't started yet. I could do this. I'll do that. Put that there, and I'll paint on here. Can you still see me? Yes. Okay, let's do it like that. All right, so plenty of water in your little well and a little bit of pink. And if you're not certain that whether you've got the amount of water to paint ratio correct, just grab yourself a piece of, scrap paper like this and try it out and see. And I mean, how much paint did I put in there? Put a blob of water, hardly any paint, and you can still see that it's pink. And what we could do to start this painting is start with very pale pink. I'll put that there. Start with some very pale pink. This paper, I like the texture of this, but it's not white. That's what it's not. It's not white. So when we put our pink on, we're going to get really a rather what you could call a vintage look. I think I would call it vintage, you know. And so I'm going to paint just very simple. Don't worry about the shape of the petals. Most flowers don't bother too much about the shapes of their petals, but they all come out right in the end. So we'll do it like this. We'll put a darker one over here. Whatever comes to your brush. If suddenly you've picked up too much, don't worry. Just keep going. You can do some of them with pointy petals like that. And some of them you might want to do like this. It's usually a pretty good idea to have a biggish one and darkish somewhere near the middle. And then you could think about adding a little bit of orange to it to give you some slightly different pinks. This is like, I don't know, they're all more or less the same, but what we'll do next is I'm going to go to the slightly smaller brush, and I do think that we probably need to mix up a bit of green. So we'll do that. That's ultramarine and cadmium yellow. A bit more blue makes it a little bit darker, like that. And we could have leaves coming in at the side here. A bit more blue. Where should we put that? Should we have something coming over here? It's quite nice to just do blobs. They take ages to dry. A bit more blue perhaps up here. Do your stems with some kind of panache. You could. A lot of your shapes are going to depend on the brush you're using, which is why I really rather like this one. It has a lot of character, this quill brush, you know? Okay, we'll pick up some more red. I'm going to put some blue in there to give us some purple. And some of these are going to have purple in the center. And some of them can have yellow, especially the ones that are quite pale. You will appreciate, of course, that I am doing this quite quickly, so that you don't get bored. But you could take a lot more time over it. And as this starts to dry, you might want to come in with more flowers going over the top of the ones that are there, perhaps. When I start with the ink, this will all make a lot more sense, I hope. Try to think when you're doing something like this, try not to think about trying to make it look realistic, but think about all the nice Oh, that's a good grey. You see that? I accidentally mixed the grey because I put the purple with green. What was I going to say? Yes, green and blue. Gives us a nice dark colour. Oh, I don't know. I've forgotten what I was going to say now. Can put some veins into our leaves if you want. This one needs something, doesn't it? Let's just pick up a little bit more pink. Was I saying don't try to make it look like anything particular? Just think of design. You know, like when you're designing a room in your house or something, and you choose colours because they go together, and you put things in places where you think they go appropriately. And that's what you have to try and do. I'm not very good at that. Never have been very good at that, but I'm trying. I'm trying. Okay, I think that's probably enough stuff on there. And I'm going to look for my ink. Now, yes, I have some ink here. And it's all very nicely wrapped up because it came on the plane with us and we didn't want it to leak, so we got really carried away with the cling film and the bubble wrap here and the plastic bags, and I'm not going to take ages over unwrapping it to preserve the bubble wrap and the cling film and the plastic bags. I'm just going to slash it. There we go. Sennelier it is. Oh, it's a surprise. Which colour did I pick? Burnt sienna. Okay. Now the next question is, can I open it? Yes. I squirt out what's in the lid and put that there. I'm bound to drip it all over the place. Now I've got a dip pen somewhere. Here we are. I've got two here actually. I don't know how well this one's going to work. This is a glass pen, a glass dip pen, and I'm not sure that I've even used it, so we'll try it. And this one is just an ordinary traditional speedball metal nibbed pen. So we'll see what happens. Let us see what happens. Just try it out first of all on here. Oh, that seems to work. Might need to dip in fairly often. That writes, doesn't it? That might even be too good. Might even be not erratic enough. Let's try this one. Oh yeah, that'll give me a variation of line. So I'm going to use this one. This is Speedball. The glass one is very beautiful, but not quite as good. So what shall we do here? What I normally do when I'm doing this, what I call reverse colouring, is I just generally go around the outside edges of all the flowers. And it's quite fun. And it doesn't matter if it's not completely dry, because that just gives it more character. And you don't follow the lines that you painted at all. You are going to just, oops, that really is wet. You're going to do anything. You could be using black ink if you wanted to. It would look a bit more kind of dark. With these kinds of pens, if you press hard, you get a thick line, and if you do it lightly, you get a thin line. It's a bit like the Kuretake ones. So don't try too hard, and don't worry about wasting ink. I wouldn't worry about it myself. Holding the pen above the paper, not because it makes it easier, because it doesn't, but because I don't want to touch the wet bits. Quite fun when you do that and it kind of runs. If you're anything like me, you'll start off a bit hesitantly, but then as you go along, you think, oh, what the heck? I don't know what I'm doing, but I'm just going to do it and have fun. It's a good idea to press quite hard sometimes. And when you've done with your lines, keep going to dip it into the water. When you're done with the lines, you can put more paint on if you want. It's a good idea to do some of the paler ones. You might want to go around them quite relatively lightly. So hold your pen back a little bit from, see, keep going to go in the water. And you can do dots as well. You could do, that didn't work really very well because it was damp. But maybe up here, I did these ones first. Be able to get the dots in. Oh, look, 3 nice big ones. This is the kind of painting that the first time you do it, you might think, oh, I didn't like that, that didn't turn out. But then you might say, you know what, I think I might have, if I'd have just done so-and-so, maybe it would have turned out the way I wanted it to, or in a way that I liked. You can't predict these things, and for every one you get that really works, you probably get half a dozen that you think, blech. But you never know, you never know. And the funny thing is, it's often when a friend comes around and they see your failed painting that's sitting on the table and they go, oh my God, that's beautiful, did you do that? And you go, oh yeah. I didn't really think it worked out. And they go, no, I really love it. Can I have it? And you go, yeah. It's funny, isn't it? So I hope you try out the colour mixing that I was talking about. How to mix purple and so on. I might come in with a bit of purple in a minute. I might mix a bit of purple and see if I can fit that in somehow. If there's any men watching this, I know what you'll be saying. You'll be saying, she calls that art? Well, no. I have noticed that. Please said soon as needed. I think the number of critical comments I've ever had on my channel, I can count them literally on the fingers of one hand. Sometimes people say things where they've got upset because something's gone wrong and it wasn't our fault and we managed to put it right, but just plain old vicious comments, hardly ever. 1 or 2 in foreign languages where I kind of think they hope I won't understand them, I won't be able to be bothered to translate them. But no, I've been very lucky, and I think also partly probably because of my age, being a little bit older, I haven't been too bothered by people trying to persuade me to do marketing things. Although I must admit, the Uptrek people won't leave us alone. They want me to do a retreat. I'm not sure about that though. I don't know whether I could I'm not sure if I've got the strength, to be honest. Okay, so I'm not unhappy with that. I like this kind of work. It's fun. And I'm just going to, I think, try to add a few more. I must not forget to put my lid on. Can you imagine how awful it would be if I was in the middle of painting and I knocked over a bottle of ink? Oh my God. So let's grab a little bit of purple here. I've got a little bit here, haven't I? Already mixed up. That's why these little palettes are so useful. If you put yellow next to or near to some of your, if you put purple near some of your yellows, that will always bring them out a little bit. So purple rather than brown. Well, I think I'm going to be stopping soon. It's getting very warm in here. And, you know, you could go on with this for ages and ages, but I think I'm going to leave it now. Just put a few darks, maybe just kind of a little bit over some of these empty ones, some of these empty petals, empty leaves. Could do with a little bit more shadowy thing going on. But be careful, don't go too far. That one we can correct because that was the one that went a little bit wrong. Just put a bit more there. So there we are. I think I'm going to call that a day. And I hope you enjoyed that. I hope my camera's still running. There we are, on pink and purple and yellow and green floral for your delectation. And I'll let you go. Take care of yourselves. Have fun. And most of all, don't forget, do lots of painting. I'll see you again soon, everybody. Bye for now. Bye-bye.